feel like that's where even some of the ideas of quantum physics are coming in. It's like, for me, I'm really having an experience lately that everything is hypothetical. This whole world is hypothetical. Everything is a possibility until it's actually happening. And so when we talk about even the idea of going out and touring for Strawberry, possibly going out to Vegas and California, you know, that's great. If the thoughts are in the mind, let's talk about it, you know, let's share it. But it's still just a possibility. Like, until it actually happens, it's just a hypothetical. And it's like that in every given moment. Like, I can't remember when it was, if it was last week or whatever, but Christian called me saying he'd like me to join with him using the computer as a backdrop to join. And so we talked about how that might happen. What's one possibility? Well, one possibility might be him coming to the lighthouse and we join there, and then maybe going to the monastery and joining with Tara. And it could happen on this day, it could happen on that day. So it seemed like there were possibilities. And it's great, you know, if there's thoughts in the mind, let's share the possibilities. But I feel like I don't want to run to or run from anything. If a thought comes in, I don't want to latch onto it and say, oh, well, okay, let's do that. That feels really good. Let's do that. Because then, if it doesn't happen that way, it's just a setup. That's been a setup by the deceptive thoughts, by the ego, to get attached, because when it doesn't happen, then it's just a justification for a reason why I shouldn't be happy, why I should be upset, because it didn't happen the way it was talked about, or what was discussed. And so it was beautiful, because then it seemed like there were communications. Communication with Tara, communication with Jenny, communication with Lila. So there was a chance, there was actually a backdrop to join with my brothers. There was a reason to pick up the phone, or to write an email, or to walk into the next room. There was a backdrop, a reason to actually come together and let these thoughts, all these possibilities from the Spirit come in. And so several communications were had. It seemed like there was a good possibility of Christian coming out, and then some other communication came in. And so there was more going on, and then that didn't seem like, okay, well, maybe the possibility isn't going to happen. Maybe it's going to be me going to Camas. I was like, oh, okay, hadn't thought of that possibility, but I'm open. You know, I'm not going to run to the idea that Christians should come out to the lighthouse, and I'm not going to run from the idea that I should go to Camas. Like, these are all just possibilities, and I don't know how any of it should look. Like, that's part of what's led me to pretty much everything but peace and joy to begin with, is the thought that I know how something should look, or I know how something should happen. And so to just be like, okay, well, that was just a possibility. Here's another possibility. And until I find myself in Camas, and it's not even like until I find myself in Camas, but when it happened, okay. But I'm not even going to really think about it. It's like, that's where I feel like the idea of the future can be talked about, but not attached to. It's like, you know, I think I've heard this question asked to David before, you know, if the idea is to stay in the present moment, and we really don't know the future and we can't change the past, then how can we plan for anything? How can tours be set up? How can gatherings be scheduled? You know, how can things be put on the calendar that seem to be in the future? Well, it's because there's infinite possibilities that Spirit always has, and there is a part of the mind that knows the big picture, the whole picture, what's best for the one sonship that seems to look like 6 billion parts. There is part of the mind that knows what is the quickest path to remembering the truth. But it's like all of these ideas seem to be possibilities that drop in. And so why run from talking about those possibilities? Let them drop in. Let's talk about them. But let's not get attached to them. I can't get attached to, oh, well, I'm going on tour to talk about Strawberry. It sounds good. I think I could have fun doing that, and it's a possibility. But the minute I run to it and get attached to it, then it's just a setup of the ego to be unhappy. Because then if it doesn't happen, or it doesn't happen the way I thought it should happen, maybe it's not the places I thought it'd be, or the length of time that I thought it'd be, or when it would happen, or, you know, there's so many infinite variables. It's just like a total setup to be unhappy. And I feel like that's the thing. Strawberry's no different. It's like, there's lots of thoughts that have come in about what Strawberry 2013 could look like, but until it happens, it's all just hypotheticals. We can talk about the possibilities. We can even seemingly take steps towards the possibilities. But even it's just like a step that looks like it's part of a possibility really means nothing. It's just a step in the present moment to see, can I be happy? So, I mean, it seems like we've got dates set, you know, I think it's the 21st to the 27th of June, but other than, and that's just a possibility, who knows, you know, maybe that could change. Probably not, but, you know, it could happen, you know. So it's like, but who knows what that will look like? Will it be just music? Will it be music and art? Will it be dance? Will it be movies? Will it be expression? Will it be, you know, cooking down at the campground this year instead of spending time up in the kitchen?
Yes.
That's a very strong possibility. And there's been lots of possibilities dropping into the mind to talk about that. And so, yeah, it just feels good to just let everything clear away from the mind and say, I don't know how 2013, Strawberry 2013 is going to look, how it's going to play out, but I'm willing to join with those that want to join in that state of mind, that strawberry state of mind, that undefined, totally willing to just let all possibilities be possibilities. And yeah, I feel like, you know, that's where the joy is. That's where there's no running to and no running from.
Strawberry state of mind.
And what we're calling strawberry state of mind, you know, you can call it whatever you want. Words are just symbols anyway. But just this idea of being in the undefined and, you know, being really guided and really prayerful and collaborate. You know, so whether I used to think of collaboration as looking as though like bodies were collaborating. It's like, no, it really isn't the case. The collaboration is always this way. So whether it appears as though this body is by itself and I'm collaborating with spirit, really listening to the inspiration, or whether it appears that I'm with other bodies and we're collaborating, it's always just an example of this collaboration. And as we all really link in and join, then it can be felt. I mean, it's an experience. That's like, to me, an example of the strawberry state of mind. That's the experiment in innocence. It's like, can we all link up and trust that we have that link? Trust that we are one with Spirit, we are one with God, and that we can all hear that inspiration at all times, and we can live in the undefined. We can really just live in the present moment and be together. I mean, that feels like that's what we're doing all the time. So.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And to stay in that state of mind, you know, you have to look at the thoughts that come in. You know, any judgments or thoughts that come in that want to, you know, cover that up so we can play. And when we really come to a place where we really remember who we are, then we can just really have fun because we're not attached to any of it. You know, we're no longer attached.